Alright, so here we have a rather unusual looking Zenith AM AA5 tube radio. This is a model, let's see, A615G with the 6Z05 chassis. This is from around 1957, and I suspect it was supposed to be sort of that green that they have, but for some reason the top looks kind of blue. I don't know, it's dirty, we'll put it that way. It looks like it's got a little, probably a tone control knob there, and there's nothing, so be having fun restringing this one. Long distance radio. So let's see. Yeah. Looks like it's probably got a tuned RF stage, so hopefully this will be a pretty good performer. I picked this up secondhand at a thrift store, so price wasn't all that great on it, but things have been kind of dead on the channel lately, and I thought I'd go ahead and get it. It wasn't totally outrageous, but a little higher than what I like to normally pay for a radio like this, and this one's kind of unusual looking, so I figured we'd try our hand at it and see what would happen. So anyway, let's plug it in and see what happens. Well, it sounds like it's going to need electrolytics. Can't tune anything in, so not really much else I can do without taking it apart. It won't tune, so it sounds like you're definitely going to need electrolytics. Well, I noticed right away, taking the back cover off of it, these antenna wires have become completely unsoldered, and somebody has ripped those off, so those will need to be resoldered back on. Alright, we got the chassis out, but a word of caution before you, if somebody out there taking one of these apart, make sure that when your chassis is in there, make sure you take that piece out right there. If I can give you a better look at this piece right here is held in by two screws. One here and one on the opposite side all the way over in the corner there, and you're going to need to remove those so you don't mess up your dial pointer, because your dial pointer, as you can see from the front of the radio earlier, goes in front of this part here, and if you don't take this off, your dial pointer is going to catch and you're going to bend it. So you gotta take that piece off. Just make sure you take it out when you're unscrewing the chassis, which is two screws, one here and the other one over there, and you're going to want to pull your volume or your tone control off the side, which has got a nut in it, and you'll pull the knob off it and pull that nut off, and then you got your power light. I guess this is your power light here, that's going to be attached up in there to that little red translucent piece of plastic there. As you can see, the inside of this thing's pretty nasty from the heat and all that over the years. And it kind of looks like this looks more beige than it does white. I guess that's from being old or cigarette tar or something, I don't know. Well, this is kind of odd here. The metal cans that Zenith was so famous for using has been removed, and somebody has taped in a literally taped it in a replacement filter capacitor like that, and that's probably why it's bad, because those are commonly frequently to go bad anyway. So anyway, this will need to be replaced again, and I don't know, I just, you know, as old as this is, I would imagine that had to have been changed a while back. Unless that, I don't know, that's taped in. I don't know how they attach that rivet in there, but no, it's soldered in. Okay. Yeah, somebody soldered that in. That had to have been a while back. That looks like quite an old replacement there. But I can't imagine that capacitor there going out shortly after the radio was new, but I guess anything can happen. Somebody decided to go this route, and these capacitors here usually hold up pretty well, and you know, say they all hold up good, but for the most part they usually I've rarely found one that's bad, or at least humming. So anyway, whatever, we'll have to replace that. So having a look at this where this filter cap attaches at, it looks like here that they've just clipped the tab off the old can that was in there and just tacked this wire, which goes back to the replacement cap there, and then the red one here the same way, and they just taped it up here. So I've got our replacement caps. With the red, I'm going to go with a 47 and a 33, which will give us 80. So 47 and a 33. So we'll use these two and put them in here, or wire them in here, and then run our ground where our black's at, which is actually right here. Our red one's here. So we'll just cut this black wire, and well, we'll cut out or desolder all these wires and go back and take that out anyway. So that's what I'm going to do now. Alright, so I got the filter caps in, and I had to go with a little bit better organization here and put in a terminal strip here, so I could, you know, everything would hold together, because there were just basically groups of wires that were cut off the old can cap and just, you know, cut, and they just tacked those wires in. So I got rid of the old cap, desoldered that, and took it out and just wired in our new caps here. For our 40 microfarad side, just used a 47, and for our 80 microfarad side, we used a 33 and a 47. So got those tacked in there. Ended up having to put in a new resistor because of the length of it. It went this way, and then, you know, it was gonna just be connected across both of the filter caps, the 40 and the 80, and it just went across there. But the original design was a much bigger resistor, and it was stretched out, so it just made more sense just to put in a newer, smaller resistor and jump it over on the terminal strip. So anyway, that's all done. So let's plug it in and see if our hum's gone.
When we are in power, I should say, that we get complacent. That's because our candidates disappoint us.
Well, that sounds a lot better.
This time. I could not agree with you more. Except, well, no, wait a minute. Maybe I'm wrong here.
Got kind of a hum when I touch it.
Republican member. Now register with a 1-2 count. Fastball just misses outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, that sounds a lot better, and we got our pilot light back working again. I had to put a new bulb in there. I think next thing I'm gonna do is try and fix this dial string here, so we'll get that all set up. Okay, this is one of the things I hate to do the most, but fortunately it's got to be done, and I'm gonna go ahead and do both of these dial strings. This is the dial string that broke, that runs from the shaft to the tuning capacitor from here to here, and that was broken, so we basically had no control over that. But also we have this tuning string that goes from the needle to the tuning capacitor, and it is very thin. Let's see if I can get enough light down in here to show you. Right here it's just about broke through, so that one's going to need to be replaced as well, so I figure we might as well go ahead and do that. And for my reference, and maybe somebody else is out there, I'll go ahead and note the string here. Looks like we got more than one wrap there, maybe 2 wraps there. And looks like it just loops around, maybe 2 wraps, and back up. It's just gonna tie off here, I guess. I hate to say it, but I kind of suck at tying these things, so that's gonna be kind of a challenge, just to tie that tight enough so this won't move. It looks here like here we got a wrap around maybe twice, and then a wrap around that stud, I would say. Let's turn it around and see here. Yeah, looks like it's gonna wrap around that stud there, and then back around again. It looks like we have a wrap in this direction. Looks like it wraps around the stud, then wraps around again, and then comes back off. But the trick is with this one is going to be, well, that just slips there, that doesn't even move if you move that. So the trick with this is going to be tying this knot. So let me get started on this, and I'll just turn you back on when I'm done, whenever that is. Alright, so we got our dial string put back on. Got that restrung. Just 2.5 turns down there. I actually tied off one side in here like that. I don't know if that's going to focus or not. Tied off that end and then brought the other end around and hooked it to the spring there, so it's nice and tight there and seems to turn just fine. Like that, and all the way back. Tuning capacitor laying flat, turning. Turns it where it's all the way open there, so look pretty good. The only thing I got to do is I need to go ahead and replace this for the needle because of that break there, which I showed earlier. So moving on to that part now. Alright, we got all the dial strings done on it. This one here was a lot more harder than the other one was, because these this string has to wrap a certain way or it won't work right. So I just noted the shots that I took of it before I took it apart, and put it back together, and got it tied all off like it was from the factory there, and got it wrapped, and works pretty good. Can move it all the way across the dial, and it moves just fine there. So we'll have to, of course, line this up with our dial scale, which goes back behind here, and you can get it lined up, and shouldn't be too much trouble. So I'm gonna move on to now I guess I'll replace a lot of these caps that are in here, these old paper caps. and go through and check these resistors and see what they look like. More than willing to bet a lot of these 470s are probably out in the audio section, and some of these over here in the rectifier and audio section are probably bad, or who knows, even throughout the radio. So go through and check those out and see what we come up with. Alright, so got all of our capacitors replaced and went through and spot checked our resistors, and only found one bad. One 470K right there in the audio circuit was reading about 700K. So we're all done, and so let's turn it on and see if I got everything right. All right.
The article, you know, I think the players and
October 18th when LA is
Here be the top doghouse with a private VIP hospitality.
Taranay Adida has been joining us for the hour. We're talking about Pittsburgh and race.
Parce que c'est le même Jean-Louis Roux qui... I'm never gonna...
In the WTF News Center, there are apps out there that help you answer medical questions, but they are not all created equal, as we hear in this report from Elizabeth Tracy.
5 stars isn't a good way to choose a medical app. Research by Seth Martin. The cardiologist...
You know, it's WPTF out of Raleigh.
I'm like, I'm not going to check out
Way too much. I meant to the toys look great in Illinois. I-85 in Joliet, America, and then E94, I-65 in the Indianapolis Road. Those are clear as well. Hilton 18th Street closed from Ashland to Blue Island for filming until 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Traffic and weather together on the 8th every 10 minutes on News Radio 780 and 105.9 FM.
Back with the forecast, it'll be mainly clear tonight, low of 67 degrees.
780 out of Chicago.
Visit any of their convenient neighborhood locations and like them on Facebook. River City Bank, hometown banking, hometown people. River City Bank, member FDIC.
News Radio 840 WHAS. Welcome back to KSR.
Sunday.
Une espèce de cri de liberté à Paris, à Montréal.
78 degrees in Greenwich. 79 in
880 out of New York.
85 in Forest Hills and 83 degrees in Central Park.
Alright, well, seems to be picking up pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and just put it back in the case. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and get the case cleaned up, and then I'll put it back in the case. Alright, so this one turned out pretty nice. It's after I cleaned it up, the case actually is actually gray, so I guess that's what the G in the model number stands for. I honestly didn't know this was a gray radio when I bought it. It was covered in cigarette tar so bad that it looked green. So anyway, this is it in gray, and it turned out really well. It cleaned up really well, and yeah, so this little light here is what the pilot light, that little pilot light lights up, and I'm surprised it's that bright. It's actually pretty decent there, and got one little crack there, and then we've got some scuffs and scratches on top there. And this knob still looks kind of green for some reason. I don't know why, but anyway, not too bad. Worked out pretty well. So anyway.
Sur le tournoi de la conférenceuse, consultez le site de Radio
at roadamerica.com. Come for the
Shapiro Show. We have a lot to get to today. Alexandra.
Kind of reminds me of one of the old school speedometers from the cars in the 50s. Pretty neat dial it's got on it there.
They've been focused on life, not exclusively, but significantly.
In here at Belle Reeve, so I look to the stat of total driving to be one to look.
Was once I was really across his body.
To be plagued by rookie injuries. This is unreal.
And hard up. Direct spin. Stops, wants it up the middle. And Turner a lead-off single here in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Vegas, so they're going to walk.
Ancient Hebrew language had no...
2016, was it $20 million?
Trump. Later, the Trump presidency's now got an extra...
And hit that stinger and maybe hit a 3-wood. You know, a lot of these holes are going to call for a draw.
And Visitors Bureau and Country Bob's, the signature sauce of the Cardinals.
The pitch, a swing, and there's a... The pitch, a swing, and there's a drive hit deep to left field. Back to the track. At the wall. It's a goner. Yadier Molina. It's his 15th homer of the year. 1-0 Cardinals. That's the way to break it 0 for 11.
Yadier Molina.
Or the Redbirds.
But he appeared to be listening. China successfully tested a new hypersonic aircraft.
We have, and this, by the way, is a common perception among older established Democrats. The other people say, no, we have to capture the energy on the left.
Other than to say, I don't think it changes anything in college.
The Connecticut Turnpike bumper. Exit 3 up to exit 5. Roadwork there blocks a couple lanes. And in Queens, Cross Island Parkway traveling northbound, they're setting up the usual nightly construction work past the LIE. That's going to block a couple lanes. And right now it is bumper to bumper, quiet both ways at the Lincoln and Holland tunnels. Our next traffic update in less than 10 minutes on WCBS.
And now the forecast. Good evening, Dan Petanowski.
Well, good evening. It's a very warm and humid one out there across the tri-state area. We'll still be dealing with showers and thunderstorms here over the next few hours. Most of the action across the Hudson Valley right now, although seeing a few starting to pop up near the Jersey Shore just northwest of Long Branch. Later on tonight, just partly cloudy, warm and muggy, the low 74 in Midtown. Very warm tomorrow, partly sunny, not quite as humid, the high 87.
Trouver dans les eaux usées des informations sur nos habitudes de consommation, c'est ça? Exactement. A manner produced to receive payments from the Ukraine benefactor.
Probably the Chinese and the Russians.
I may have heard the story 3 years ago when I bought one of these mattresses and I didn't follow the instructions properly and the mattress started coming alive.
For congressional district and for state legislative district.
Part of the people.
To be something they're really comfortable sleeping on. But that leads to...
Alright, so that's 750 out of Atlanta there. I don't think it needs an alignment, and I don't really think it needs any tubes. Seems to perform just fine. It's got a good clear reception, and it's picking up stuff all over the band. So here's my what is this thing? Zenith model Alpha 615 Golf. A615G. We got it playing again. So hopefully it'll be good to go for quite a while longer. Thanks for watching, and if you like the content, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and comment below and let me know what you think.